Hi, Warriors. In the dog days of summer, yet the team said that it would not be a slow August, and that's happening. How are you, Sinatra, Alexander? Yeah, Bran, I heard about that last week. Some guy was talking about a possible shutdown. That was, I believe, for October. So, good morning. Richie Burbridge, welcome to F.A.C.E. You're a new name to me. Derek Miller, how you doing? All you guys? Okay. All right, so let's take a look around. Hi, team. How are you?
Hey, Dale.
Hey,
Morning, Dale.
Kman, Ryan.
Morning, Coach.
How are you, Blake?
Good.
So, okay, let's.
And it's Stelios' birthday, just FYI.
Is he here?
I'm here, but I'm a little bit drunk. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm
Are
here.
you a little drunk?
52 today.
Oh God, that's a great age. And it's going to be your best year ever in all ways. So maybe not for the world, but for you and your family, it's going to be a great year. So I love you.
Love you too, Coach.
Happy birthday to you, buddy. Happy birthday to you, Stelios. Happy birthday, my trading warrior brother. I hope all your trades work this year. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
I feel blessed.
You are. Look at your life.
Yeah.
All right. So just a couple of things. I think that the dollar is, we're going to have a little pullback. Maybe ABC is my view, maybe down to here. I have some fibs drawn. So, I'll cover short dollars before is it CPI on Thursday, guys?
Yes, sir.
I'll get stopped out or take some. It's, I'm bullish long term, but I'm just looking for that. A yen, little different story, kind of a weak low rally back, almost got to, 42. Okay. So short this too. Think that, maybe it'll fall because risk off later this week. This is more of a position, I think, although we'll be tested if the dollar turns. Gold, I think gold can hold this low and rally maybe to 1960, and silver's getting creamed, but I wouldn't short it down here, maybe up here. And then the last thing I want to cover before I go to the team for some opinions is talked about Apple. I know Blake's covering it now too. But Ryan, I think you remember this discussion when I was talking about this action all the way up, that it just didn't seem, it seemed, managed. The chart didn't look great for a liquid, one of the most liquid stocks in the universe. And it said that one bad day could change the whole picture.
Yeah, you said that, mate.
Voila. Under the 50 days, so support at 170 to 160. This is the old breakout. This is what it would have to hold, but be a nice trade from here. And this line right here, just to give you a view, is a channel that it broke out from. So that too is coming in right around 170.
I wonder how many people want to buy the dip now. Remember we said that if you get a dip, everyone wants to buy it when it's sitting on the highs, and then you get a dip like that, who wants to buy it now?
Well, I think that, if we get this pullback to, I think the battleground's around 4,200 if the highs are in. That's going to be, people are, already talking about buying the dip and before it gets to 4,200. So, we'll see. Why don't I start off with Kman. Let's talk a little bit about the yen and what you're thinking here after last week's action and a bounce today.
Yeah, I reckon the the dollar side is going to have to tell us. And as you said, probably a bit of risk. We've seen end of last week that we started to trade on the back of risk again in the yen a couple of times. We've had these Bank of Japan minutes out, and it does point that more and more people at the Bank of Japan are looking for inflation to the targets to eventually be met, or at least in the direction of. But I'm a little surprised that the JGBs haven't reacted on the back of it. They are still hanging around just at 62 BPs, the 10-year. I thought it would have been trying a little bit higher, which would put a bit more upward pressure on the yen. So failing to have seen a move on the back of it, I reckon it's the US, the dollar side who will have to tell us where we go in the yen. Again, I'm looking at a couple of levels. The 142.5 is important enough today, above or below. And for the more medium term, it's those low 141s where we still have a lot of conversions on the daily cloud, also the 55 DMA. That's if that goes, then there's probably a bigger move possible. You have like, what is it? You have the 50 DMA. Okay, I'm watching the 55. So, but it's there and thereabout, there or thereabout.
Yeah,
so
you're talking about
a big level on the downside.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you looking to sell strength or buy weakness in yen? Or neither?
For the time being, the way those JGBs are moving and the snail speed of it don't push me in staying long yen for long. So if it's more for the medium term, I'd still sell yen. If it's for the short term, I am looking to play more ranges. Yeah.
So birthday boy, we had yields come off during Friday with the market in the last hour selling off from a spot. Someone tweeted that I said, Blake asked what you could do on the NFP, and I said I'll sell a rip to 45.40 or so, and that's what happened. So it still looks bearish to me, but we could rally. If the dollar softens up, we could rally again. I wouldn't buy it, but I'd sell rallies if we get a rally, and maybe the dollar coming off a bit would give it relief. But I want to ask you, Stel, what do you think? Think rates peaked up here? It looks a lot like the yen.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for a few days now. I think we should be, famous last words, close to some kind of a peak in yields, because in my opinion, with central banks pausing, and let's face it, okay, maybe the ECB and Bank of England have another one to go, but the Fed's leading the way, and we have more and more Fed members turning dovish. Who was it? Bostic, who said, who sounded a lot more dovish than usual. So with most central banks done now, and no more tightening coming, and with inflation really not the scenario where inflation picks up from here is, for me, still a low probability, at least for the short term, the next 6 months or so. So with those two combined, and with economies, look at Germany, starting to look pretty weak, why would yields go higher? I don't see a scenario. Of course, there could be such a scenario, but it's just not a high probability scenario for me. So to answer your question, yes, I think we should be at or close to a peak. And what we saw on Friday, well, we talked about this in the flow show earlier. It's difficult to explain, one day moves, but we're definitely off the highs in yields, 10 basis points off the highs in 10-year US. And I think with risk still not seeing a reversal, so with the S&P still looking on an uptrend, and let's face it, we have the odd down day, but it's still on an uptrend. And as long as we don't cross an area, let me actually show you, hold on. Let me take the screeny and show you just for a second. So this is the way I look at the S&P, and as long as we stay above this area here, which is a
Where
pretty
is it?
big. Sorry, oh, can you not see
Where's
it?
the trend line and the green line come in?
Yeah, trend line, green line, 200 DMA. There's a fib as well here. It's a lot of confluence here. So as long as we stay, I know it's a big range here. It's probably between 44.20.
Actually, that'd be the 50 DMA, correct?
You're right, the 50 DMA. Sorry, what did I say? 200.
200. Yeah,
the
it's
50.
that's
Thank you.
far away.
Okay, and
Yes,
where
thank
is
you.
that? 44.40 or something like that?
So 44.20 is the fib. The 50 DMA is just above that, 44.30. Then the line is around 44.50. So there's a 20-30 point range, which should be a very, very important area. If that breaks, then we start talking about downside targets, with 4,200 being the obvious first one.
Right.
Until that happens, we're still on an uptrend, and
Yeah.
nothing is telling me that this has changed. And also, every time there's a down day, you see and you hear a lot of people celebrating. Oh yes, this is it. It's a start of a bear move. Yeah, this rally is still relatively hated by people. So I think it's most likely. You put a gun to my head, I will still buy this unless we drop below these levels here. At that point, I reconsider.
Not me. I'd let them shoot me.
I'd rather put a gun
Whoever
on
has
Steve's
a gun in my head. All right, Ryan, how are you today, buddy? Hope you had a good
I'll
weekend.
give you the screen back.
All right. Taking a look at cable, your native currency, anything that we should be paying attention levels.
By the way, we're
wise?
not seeing any charts. Oh, there we go. Sorry, Dale. Okay, your charts are coming up.
Be patient. I'm old.
I'm not. It's
Anyway,
Monday. I'm not.
Are you agitated? It was pretty hot yesterday, but it's going to cool off a little bit. So
Yes. I don't even want to talk about it. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, so just before I do that, Ryan, I know there are a lot of people looking for a bond rally, and we had a little pop. But I keep coming back to the RSI at the lows in October, and it still, was confirmed. I think we're going to new lows in the bonds, and I don't think we're going to 120. And I think that happens even with the sell-off in the stock market. In fact, what I want to talk about, and Ryan, you could speak to this, is the inversion is starting to come off, and we're not steepening yet, but we're not as inverted. So could there be a situation where steepening begins, where the front end of the yield curve is weaker, but it's harder to sell longer term paper and yields begin to steepen?
Yeah, it could do. It's going to be a bit like sitting on a seesaw, I think, because we're trying to match off how long and how high the central banks keep rates against what we're going to get from the economic data. So I don't think you're going to see a smooth move in the curve, if you know what I mean. It's going to be a bit jumpy, I think, because one bad bit of data and the market starts going all cut crazy. Then you get another good piece of data and it reverses all that. So it's not going to be a smooth operation. I don't think. It's going to be a bit jumpy as the data points come out. But yeah, I can see a scenario there perfectly well.
Okay.
But what does it lead to? Is it going to lead to more of a flatter, longer term curve? In the longer term, if rates get to neutral, if there's no shocks down the line, economies are doing okay, rates are at 2.5%, 3% or whatever, it's going to look quite flat along the curve, I should think. Going into next year, we're going to get over the cut phase, obviously, and then from there on in, it's going to flatten off, I think.
Okay, I just have to ask you one question about being on a seesaw. Were you ever on it with somebody, and when you had them at the top,
You mean when someone was too heavy?
No. And then you just got off, and they really, went down fast.
Yeah, well, usually, as I say, someone would get on heavier than me and sit there, and I'll be sitting in the air, my legs dangling.
So they're all the way at the top, and you get off your end, and it just collapses. Anyway, just I would never do anything like that. It just, I heard that used to happen on the playground. Anyway, so
Yeah.
how about
Dale,
cable? Huh?
Dale,
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in regards to your inversion and stuff, I think it's and we spoke about it. I reckon at the end of the last week, or was it on the flow show? It's more of pricing out recessions that that this inversion is now coming down, and we've
Okay.
already seen that 530 is already in positive now. But I think your big mover, and that's an interesting one to watch when for people who want to trade dollar yen as well. Is that normally a steepening curve is relatively positive dollar yen, but it's coming out of a deep inversion. So I think the inflection point is not yet there for it to be very to be really bullish dollars. We know that the steeper it goes, the better it usually is for stuff like dollar versus the very low yielders.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit early to call it right now.
Okay. I also heard that that's when the stock market is most vulnerable, is when we come out of the inversion. Because look how well it did during the inversion for last year, right? So
Yeah.
if that shifts, that could be a problem for the market. Let's see here. Who else is here? Well, Steve's still on vacation. Okay. Anything else, guys, that you want to, that's top
Yeah, I
of
think
mind
if
before Blake comes? Huh?
If I may, and probably Blake will talk about it, I think it's going to be a big week for the Mexican peso.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay, so
But no, we really have a lot of stuff coming out this week together with Mexico, and and we are on levels. We have tested a bit of the boundaries top side, and then now we're on a bit of intermediate support, and it may be a decisive, well, if not decisive, very important week for the mix, and per deduction for some of the carry trades as well.
Yeah, the inflation data is on Wednesday ahead of Mexico.
Oh.
So yeah, it's going to be it's
Okay.
going to be a big one. Then if you were in our chat room, actually, I think Gavin posted something that's probably the most alarming thing about the peso. But for those people in the ForexAnalytix chat room, I'll tell you to go bolt in there and to check that out. So
looks like it should be a break to buy. Are you looking to buy it, Blake?
yeah, I'm long. I got out of it.
Because you called that move last week.
Well, I've been
risk.
kind of sitting. I've been trading. I haven't been trading super aggressively long. I've just kind of kept markers in. Because I just wanted to reduce. I want to follow it because but had to reduce like the carry cost because it costs a lot to carry a Mexican peso short. And so, if I carry it in small amounts, it's no big deal. It doesn't really bother me, but it looks very bullish. It's coming out of a wedge. Yeah. And I think, one of the biggest things about like Mexico and LATAM and in general, you're starting to see rate cuts, and it's going to start to it's going to start to factor into a lot of these carry trades that are very prevalent in the institutional community. So, I like it. It's coming out of a wedge. I think while it's above 17, you're a buyer, and above 1750, you
buy
have to be
in
aggressive.
August and go away. Oh no, that was sell in August and go away. But for the peso, buy in August and go away.
Yeah. So you caught the title of my week ahead video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and I think we should probably discuss this. I talked,
man.
Okay, I talked about it during the week ahead video this week. Was that sell in May and go away. There's everybody thinks, I need to just sell in May or sell in June. No, it's just an old, it's an old school saying, Dale. You sell in May, and if you leave and you're gone for the summer, you come back in October or September, excuse me, and you start looking to get long, and prices are basically cheaper in September than they were in May. So if you think about it, like you just look at it from the S&P, let's just, argument's sake, let's just take the S&P. So if you think about where
I can't remember the last time that worked.
I mean, again, it's an old school,
I
like
know.
if you have to go back to, pre-GFC, right? Because ever
Yeah.
since the great financial crisis, it's like your
Yeah.
markets are a little
Central planned.
central plan. There you go. That's a good way to think about it. But if you think about like May, June, like this is where we're at, around 4,300, big breakout point. And if we, if we come back in August, or excuse me, in September, and we're back at 4,300, or maybe even a little bit lower towards 4,200, that wouldn't be surprising to me in today's environment. And it would totally, the sell in May go away, would
You didn't
come
miss
true.
anything.
right? Yeah, you didn't miss anything as an institution. Now, and you might have said, oh, well, maybe I missed a little upside, but you didn't have to deal with all this. So, going back to
I didn't
like,
understand that. I thought sell in May and go away meant short it. What really?
like,
when all it
shoot,
means
I've
is,
had this
you know,
wrong the
get
whole
flat.
time.
Huh?
I've had this
Yeah.
wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
No, but
sure.
it's an old, it's an old adage.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember people used to tell me that when I started as a stockbroker,
In the 90s.
in 1995 or 96,
Yeah.
that sell in May go away. I mean, that's just like an old school, like I had guys on my desk that would just tell me that, when we're using quotrons, for crying out loud. Anyway, but I think that's, the way we should be looking at it, especially this year. We're facing a possible recession. There's a lot of people believe there isn't going to be a recession. I am still in the camp that it's coming. It's just a matter of time. We've been partying for quite some time, and we're going to we're seeing lending standards tighten and everything else.
Go ahead,
It's just,
show that VIX chart.
yo, you want to see the VIX chart? Yeah,
See what
VIX
lines
is
you have there. Yeah,
it's
look at
it's
that.
bidding up, man, and it's held
Even with the S&Ps up, it's up a little bit.
Yeah, I think that maybe signals that there's a little bit of risk coming. Going back to the peso, I think the peso looks pretty bullish here. One
Yeah.
thing,
They look alike.
What's that?
They look alike.
They do actually.
VIX and
They do actually. Let's go ahead and add the VIX here, and you can see it looks actually very similar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure does. Actually almost identical, for crying out loud. Now that you're thinking about it, now that you got me thinking about it, it looks very, very similar. Thank you. Hey, it isn't my birthday today. It's Stelios's birthday.
Yeah. 52.
52. Can you believe that? I can't believe it. I can't believe it. God, guy's old.
I know. I look so young, don't I?
You do. You look like 49. You're doing it. So anyway, but the one thing I wanted to say, and the big mover today is the bond market. And I think Kman, I think you had it spot on. I mean, the Friday data, I mean, we had the jobs data, right? Yield should have gone up after that data. That's good data. It's Goldilocks data, right? I think that's the way we can look at it. I mean, strong jobs report, but even though the average hourly earnings were a little higher, but it still makes the market believe that we're going to skirt a recession, right? And I think that's the reason why yields continue to rally. You can see popping up here, and this is a pretty big inflection point. We had this head and shoulder pattern, kind of false breakout last week. So I think the bond market right here, the 10-year, this is kind of do or die, for bonds. I actually think they're going to, bounce here, and yields are going to come back down, but that's my own opinion.
That's a nice you have two drives so far. Sometimes that's all it takes. Yeah.
This one's
three all
this
the
this isn't a 1, 2, and a 3.
That's kind of too stretched out, I guess, but it looks to me like a 2.
All right. Well,
and we did diverge.
I still think it's a false breakdown. We're going to start to see yields come off, but we're kicking off the week with yields bouncing. And actually, take a look at Boons. Whoops, there we go. Boons are back down towards really, I would say, very key support here. So,
oh my God,
Yeah. What about that? How about if,
Well, I mean, if we break down,
yeah, it'd be ugly, right?
yeah.
So anyway, just I think we're gonna have some volatility here, and I think the market being fairly illiquid as we go into August is just going to compound some of the risks. One of the other charts that Ryan, you said it in the chat room pretty eloquently. Let me see here. What did you say in the chat room about this chart? Oh, by the way, that's for Stelios right here. All right, so
It was a technical term, a very well used technical term in trading.
yeah. Here's the loony. You said we need to shit or get off the pot. That's something that's something I tell my kids to do all the time. So yeah, so the dollar Canadian is right here, right up against the right against the 134 level. Very key level of resistance. I still think it's going higher. Well, obviously, because I'm long, I'm just going to sit here and be a little bit more biased. But what are your thoughts with the dollar Canadian here? I mean, do you short it right here?
You can short it if we go a few sessions without breaking it, because then the buyers will run out of patience. They'll turn tail, get out, and then the shorts will take over, push it down probably to 133 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm long as well, as still a long big chunk of our chat room are from sort of 130, 150s, 60s, 70s. So yeah, I'm looking for a break as well through 134. It feels like it's building for a pop.
It does. I mean, you say, well, they've been trying to, break it out for the last few days. I mean, we've been up here since Thursday. I mean, you can see Thursday, we got up here originally to 133.80. Pullbacks have been very minor. And
that looks like a 3.
When we pull back, it's there, things are being bought. So you say this looks like a 3. So we have 1, 2, 3. So do you short it here, Dale? Are we going to sucker you in?
Yeah. Just for a pullback, I'm bullish. I think we're going to 140, but just for a pullback.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the things that's keeping the dollar Canadian pretty well bid right now, excuse me, prohibiting the dollar or prohibiting the Canadian from getting very weak right now is this rally that we've seen in crude oil. I mean, crude has just been on a rampage. Now it's coming off a little bit here today. But look at this really very, very critical support that we're coming up to. These are levels that if we start breaking above like $84, and we haven't seen this since November of last year, how's that going to impact, spending globally for the consumer? I mean, energy costs, I think, are one of the big components to this summer. And I think one of the other things that we're gonna find is that this extreme weather, whether you're talking about, the ice cold winters or the strong summers. And I was watching the special on weather because obviously, here where I live, we've gone, I would say 40 or 50 days now with temperatures well over 100. And well above 110 for over a month. And so I'll just give you guys an example. My cooling costs to keep the house cool this month and the last 2 months probably are about 25 to 30% above, previous years. It's just kind of like, in the wintertime, how you guys in the UK have been faced with like some really extremes for heating your homes. We get the opposite here. How's that going to affect consumer spending in an inflationary environment? I think it's going to have a negative impact because I think
maybe we're due for disappointment Wednesday, Blake, on the numbers.
What's that?
Maybe we're due for not such a benign number on the inflation numbers this week.
You mean on Thursday? Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. People are expecting that. And matter of fact, I'd love to hear what everybody has to say here because I think Stelios, you're still looking for inflation to come off. Are you thinking the year over year is going to come in on a 2 handle?
Who knows, right? I've been saying for months now that I think it's going to disappoint to the downside, and it's been doing that almost every print. So I stick with that for now. Obviously, oil is a problem, but oil translating into higher prices of goods and services takes a while. There's a lag. So until then, I still think it's going to disappoint. And remember, we're expecting a rise from 3% to 3.3.
Ryan, what do you think about inflation, about this inflation data that we have coming this week? Do you think that we're getting to that sticky part of the of inflation problems for not only the Fed but for central banks globally?
But it's possible. The inflation's fallen for over a year now. It's been one way all the way down. So you've got to expect at some point that drop has got to stop somewhere. I think the big question is this just a one-off? Does it reflect, some bits falling out from last year? Does it reflect, there's been some gasoline price rises in the US as well months ago that might be kicking in, just like looking at a price chart, things don't go one way forever. At some point they stop and reverse and bounce and, pull back. So the market, I don't think the market's going to get too excited over this one number, unless it's a bigger upside number than expected. But then we have to wait and see. If we get another one the month after, and the month after that, well, that's going to be cat amongst the pigeons, I think.
Well, yeah, and that's I think it's there were comments that came from Bowman this weekend, right? Is that the comments that came from Bowman? About,
she expects another hike, or
expects another hike, expects inflation to be kind of
a few of them have spoken about being worried about a bounce in inflation. So they've got a sense that nothing goes one way forever. It's just how sticky it might be, as you say. If it sticks around 4-5%, has a little bounce and sticks around there, that's going to put some pressure on the Fed. They don't want to be taking rates to 6% or higher to combat that.
I'll give you guys my anecdotal evidence indicator. Is I went to the grocery store this weekend to pick up a few things because we had some family over, so I just wanted to run out and grab a few things. I'm like, damn, prices are still going up at the grocery store, and they're not receding at all or leveling off, not in my neighborhood. So just something I noticed this weekend. I was like, damn, and like I said, it's definitely sticky over here. Kman, what are you still around? What are your thoughts on inflation this week?
Yeah, I think as you say, there's a few factors that can have it tick back up, like energy, for instance. I think the big domino in that picture, what still stood and started to come off now, is shelter. So between the both of them, it will be a bit of a battle, I think, where this number comes out. Been chatting about CPI, or seen chat in the room. It could be that we have this 1 month of uptick, and that could be leading the dollar at the end of the week then.
Yeah, and look, the dollar. I pointed this out on the week ahead video, and I was quite surprised looking at the CFTC data. It was kind of brought to my attention over the last couple of weeks, like, hey, we should be paying attention to this. A lot of euro longs out there. They're not pulling the plug. They haven't really pulled the plug yet. There's still a lot of euro longs out there, institutional wise, speculator wise. And I thought there would be a lot of liquidation from last week, but that has not been the case. And, I think the euro is still vulnerable. We start seeing now, Stelios, you were talking about the 200-day moving average. 200-day moving average comes in at channel support for the euro. That's at 107.50. And that's not too far from where we're at, but we're talking a little bit about 200 pips. If we start getting below that 200-day moving average, I think you're going to see a pretty big liquidation of euros, which obviously is going to factor into the dollar index. So just some thoughts.
Fair point.
Yeah. And Bran, you just asked, is there an interview today? No, the interview got moved to Friday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a few minutes to discuss. You know what? Since you guys are, I'm gonna do this for those of you that are new. or not aware, I'm going to take you into the ForexAnalytix chat room. I'm going to take you into the news and research room. We were talking a little bit about the peso. How about this?
Yeah, that's a fade.
Yeah,
What?
you know what they reacted to, right? That
No.
famous that famous Q2 investment report. You remember? Plus 17.5% investments into Mexico in Q2. But we are nearly at the end of Q3, so forget about it. I think those people are a little bit behind the curve. It's like when your taxi driver starts to talk about buying MEX, right?
Yeah, exactly. We got the shoe shine guy. Do people still do we still have shoe shine people? I actually haven't seen a shoe shine person at the airport in a long time where I'm from. So
well, people don't shine their Skechers.
They don't shine their toe polish.
Hot over there.
It is too hot.
We
all
the
wear
polish
flip
would
flops.
be running.
All right. Well, hey, let me ask you guys this. Let's go around the horn since we got a little extra time today. For the week, one idea, one thing that you're thinking about this week, like, man, if this happens this week, I'm really thinking about doing this. Stelius, it's your birthday. Oh yeah. What are you thinking this week?
My well, the one thing I'm looking at is, as I said earlier, the S&P. So if we get towards 44.50, I'm going to be taking a quick long, just as a confluence of supports kind of reaction trade. So that's what I'm looking at. Okay.
All right. That's going to be a little bit close to this breakout point, 50 DMA, just right around here where my cursor is at. Yeah. It looks like Ryan had to leave already. He had to check out.
Brand says we have ruined him. He's a scalper now. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, he is. Look, he's just looking to take advantage of bounces. Either that or he really wants to go to the strip club for his birthday and wants to make a few extra ducats. So Dale, what are you thinking for the week? What's your big call for the week?
I still think the S&Ps are going to break down.
Ooh, I like a market.
Yeah. So, I don't know if we're going to take out Friday's highs first, but buy the VIX on any pullback over the next couple of days. And my bigger idea is look to, be short US dollar yen, which I already am.
Be short US dollar what?
Yen.
US dollar yen. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Kman, what are you looking at this week? I figure we might be looking at the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we'll be looking at the Mexico and the Mexican CPI. Okay, let me do how should I call it? A side bet. I want to be long dollar China if it breaks 722, and I would sell dollar yen for a quick move lower if it breaks 141. But if the US inflation disappoints to the top side, I think we're going to trade closer to 145 in the dollar yen.
All right. Well, I like this idea with the US dollar CNH, and look at that wind up. And I think it's one of those levers that China can pull here. They can say it. Things are looking a little too dire. I'm going to go ahead and weaken the renminbi and get that thing moving again and kind of spur some Chinese exports. So I like this. I like this setup actually to the long side, even though I don't trade the US dollar CNH. But I like it. And a
lot of talk about devaluation of the yuan.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, you look at the charts. It looks we look like we're flirting with a rally here. And you guys know, for me, I'm watching the dollar Mexican peso really carefully. We start trading above 1750. I think we trade up to the 200 DMA pretty quick. So that's it's still in a descending trend and channel. I think you got to use rallies to sell into. I'm not sure if I'd want to sell at the 200-day moving average, but if we could get up towards 1875, 19, I think that's a better place to be on the short side or long Mexican peso for some long-term carries. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking for the week. It's going to be a very, very interesting week with inflation. Like I said, volatility is going to be a little more. I think volatility is at risk of pushing a little higher this week, with less participation and some risk reversals in play. I think we have to keep our head on a swivel this week. So Dale, I want to say happy Monday to you. Stelios, I want to say happy birthday to you. Happy 52. You do look like you're only 32. So happy birthday to you. And
thank you, everybody.
Kman, thanks for being here this week with all of us on the Flow Show and on F.A.C.E. And we miss Ryan.
Yeah.
So
I get in the room this week, guys. And Kman, I have one question before we say goodbye. For many years, people have been talking about the Hong Kong dollar breaking away from the dollar peg. Could this be part of what's out there right now? And would that,
my friend, I thought that it would already have happened, to be perfectly honest with you. But then they seem to be really wanting to hang on to it for now. I think it's going to be the finality, because you can't continue to de-risk or decouple or whatever you want to name it, but then China coming back into the market and now, I mean, they consider Hong Kong being there. So I think it's going to be a finality, but it's so hard to bet on it. So hard to bet on
that's a huge range.
But because at first, when it was going better last year or so in China, I thought like sooner or later they are going to reevaluate the Hong Kong dollar. But now I'm starting to think that they might take the dollar China up to where the Hong Kong dollar is trading, and then let the peg go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
interesting take. Yeah, interesting take.
It's completely the opposite of what I was thinking a year and a half ago.
Well, you know what? Gant said, if you don't learn how to change your mind, you won't have any change left. So that's what trading is, continuing to assess and reassess what's happening in front of our eyes. So, all right, well, that's a wrap, everybody. I have interviews the rest of the week. And remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Get in the room and make some pips. And I'll see you guys. See you, team. Thank you very much for all your thoughts and your giving spirit to share this wisdom with the general public. And don't just count your pips, count your blessings, and see everyone for something else that's pretty old school, but it still works once in a while. Turnaround Tuesday. So see everyone tomorrow.
Thanks, Coach.
See you, team. Happy birthday. Enjoy your day, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
I hope my song was good enough.
It was perfect.
Okay,
thanks, Coach.
Especially the part that all your trades worked. I knew it was unrealistic, but what the hell, we could hope, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Stel. All right, everyone. See you later, Morning Edge, in a little over a half an hour. So Blake will break the bias chart down there and get into more detail about what we talked about here. Adios.
Thanks, bud.
See you.